Greetings. Welcome to the latest episode of Doc Hartree vs. the World. This is Doc Hartree here with Mr. Black. Say hi, Mr. Black.
How's everybody doing?
Now, want to forgive me, audience at large here, but I am fighting off a nasty cold, so I'm not going to be as attentive as I usually am. I might talk too much, but it might be the cold medication kicking in. I'm going to do my best. Mr. Black's here to lay some shit on us old school. I did a couple weeks ago, and he gave us the highest rated Doc Hartree vs. the World episode in the history of the show. It's granted it's like a 4-month history, but still, 230 fucking views. When I get happy if it's over 18.
Hell yeah!
So we're gonna lay some shit on you right here, right now. Talk about Solar Warden, the honeycomb / flat Earth theory, ETs, benevolent, non-benevolent, and all kinds of stuff. So I'm gonna let Mr. Black kick it off right now.
All right, everybody, how's it going? Gonna try to give you some more in-depth detail of what we discussed last couple weeks ago. Kind of want to start off with Earth and take you from Earth out to space and kind of go in that direction. So here it goes. There's a lot of talk about Agartha, and that's the inner Earth realm. The inner Earth realm consists of fifth-dimensional beings that migrated from the Atlantean times and have been underground for hundreds of thousands of years. The civilization under there is peaceful. There's no money. Nobody's paid. Nobody charges you for rent, electricity.
Just to kind of maybe give the audience a bit of a visual understanding of that. If you're reading a comic book, the characters on the page are what we call two-dimensional.
Right.
So fifth-dimensional beings would literally see us the way we would see like text on a page, just more interactive.
Yeah, a fifth-dimensional being is going to look at a third-dimensional being as if the fifth-dimensional being is watching a television set.
Wow. Okay.
And the fifth-dimensional realm, that's a whole other kind of thing to get into. But I will say that we're all living in the third dimension right now. From the third dimension, there's a holding chamber called the fourth dimension, and then from the fourth you transcend to the fifth dimension, and that's what ascension process is all about. We've been confined to the third dimensional realm, which is because we live on a prison planet, and we're basically confined to the third dimensional realm because of our the crystalline in our DNA has not fully developed.
Okay. And also, there's a bit of an outer movement to kind of stunt our progress.
Yeah,
scared of what we're going to do if we get off this planet.
The Cabal does everything they can to keep us locked in the third dimensional realm. So you got the Agartha, the inner Earth realm, which there's a lot of proof for the inner Earth. They just don't like to talk about it. You got openings in the North Pole, South Pole that enter into the inner Earth. Back in the 50s, Admiral Byrd from the Air Force actually flew his plane into the inner Earth, was picked up by a tractor beam and landed, and taken all around the inner Earth, was told by the inner Earth people that to tell the people on the surface world to stop testing nuclear bombs because it was affecting the inner Earth.
No kidding.
And was shown was taken on a high-speed train that did not exist on the surface world, and was shown different ways of living by these fifth-dimensional beings. He said that they looked like us, but more beautiful and more radiant. You could see a glow coming off of them. The way he described it. And then when Admiral Byrd, when he was finished with his tour, they took Admiral Byrd and they let him fly out. And when he flew out, he had an extra 2,000 gallons worth of fuel that he couldn't account for.
Huh.
So it was kind of interesting how the way they pulled his plane in and sent his plane out of the inner Earth and was able to send him back to tell the story. Unfortunately, our government shut him up and pretty much made him a prisoner for the rest of his life after he discovered that.
Oh, what a drag.
Yeah, because the Cabal did not want anybody to know about the inner Earth and the truth about it. They say most of the planets are hollowed, if not all of them, because of the way they form, the way the centrifugal force works. It pushes material out through openings as a direct result of the rotation.
Well, quick thing here, not to get too graphic here, but back in Magic Mountain, there used to be like the centrifugal force ride. That was the room that spun.
What was it called? wall.
Yeah, they would spin you, then they drop the floor out. You just be
Yeah,
stuck to it.
I forget the name of that ride. That was the best one to go on.
But if you threw up, the ball of puke would stay in front of you for a few seconds,
Right.
and then it would splash everyone
Right.
on the ride.
That's
So
right.
that's kind of how matter.
Dropout.
Yes,
Dropout was the name of the ride.
Well, that's kind of how matter would move in a orbital situation there.
Right. Right.
Well, that makes total sense, actually.
Now the center of the Earth has a 500-mile diameter sun that levitates and floats in the center of the Earth. Clouds do go around the sun and around the inner Earth. Apparently, it's always sunlight down there because there's no way for the sun to go down. The only time you get a break from the sun is when clouds go in front of it.
Gotcha.
Now this is a result of plant life, vegetation growing extremely large and extremely tall because of the massive amounts of sunlight that everything gets down there.
Well, it's like take a glass bowl and just throw it upside down in your backyard.
That's
And
right.
then just watch how the grass gets so much bigger in that bowl just
Right.
over a period of time.
Uh-huh.
And that's not even accounting for the fact that there's no night down there.
Right. Some say the aurora borealis is when clouds pass through the polar opening and allow the inner Earth sun to come out.
I have a strange story to tell you on the subject of the aurora borealis. I was in Lake Havasu, Arizona. I was probably about 8 to 9 years old, and we were watching because we used to go out there with my grandparents, my parents, and we would watch constellations, right? Well, this red glow emanated over the mountaintops, and it soon turned the whole sky red. A couple of patterns here and there, and we literally thought doomsday was going to happen. It was completely strange. And then the next day, the paper wrote that whole thing off, and this happened for like 3 or 4 hours straight. Wrote off as like a very rare occurrence where the aurora borealis was seen from Arizona.
Huh. Anything's possible. It could have even been a solar flare.
Possibly.
You know, they don't like to tell us what's really going on until it's already happened, and they know for sure what it is, and if they're going to tell us the truth about it or not.
But it was a crazy thing to see.
So you have the inner Earth. Now let me tell you, a lot of this stuff that I'm discussing, it all has to do with the event and full disclosure. A lot of people may know about the event and disclosure, but disclosure and the event kind of are going to be happening together, and this is where all this is going to fall into place. So if you stay with me on this, we'll get through this, and everyone will kind of have a better understanding about what's going on. Now, there's also another theory that the Earth is flat, and there's a lot of flat earthers around there. I personally thought it was a bunch of malarkey for years until I started really. It kept popping up, and I kept saying, well, let me look into this a little bit, you know. And I looked into this flat Earth theory, and as the theory goes, the planet is more like a diamond shape, flat, rounded diamond shape that crescents that tapers down towards the bottom, and the Earth is flat. Now, they're saying that all the continents are all kind of intertwined, connected, and Antarctica isn't where they tell us it is on the globe. Antarctica is the outskirts of the flat Earth, and supposedly Antarctica truly is about 63,000 miles in diameter, in circumference around the entire Earth. It has 100 to 200 foot ice walls that hold the water in and keep the planet and the water all in one spot. Now, a lot of people are, you got to realize, it's a theory. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's not true. But all evidence that I've discovered have pointed to the Earth being flat. I can prove, I've seen more proof that the world is flat than I have seen that it's round. Now, just because you see a round globe on the internet that's showing a picture of the Earth, and I know, since the day you step foot into a classroom, all we've seen is these globes in every classroom. So yeah, it's been programmed into us. But these pictures that they're showing from space of Earth is not the real picture. They're all photoshopped, and there's only about 2 different photos of Earth. If you really look at the photos, you'll see that they're all the same picture, and on one of them, the United States is half the size as it is in relation to the overall planet, as far as these photos that they have of a round global Earth.
Now the
Now,
one thing.
the
Sorry.
reason they
Sorry.
haven't gotten, the reason they can't get a picture of the flat Earth is because the flat Earth is so wide and so vast, and they say there's a dome that contains us within that keeps the air and everything locked into the planet, and you cannot go high enough without hitting that dome to see the entire Earth. So that's kind of an interesting theory. Um,
Now the one thing I'll interject here is, like I said, I'm not disputing your theory here, but I know if you go to certain parts by the ocean and certain parts even by Edwards Air Force Base, as a human being, you can see the curvature. Is that an optical illusion, or
that is an optical illusion. In theory, if you were to take a laser and put it on the beach, say you're at the beach and you shine a laser out to a barge that's
okay?
cruising out towards, let's say, Hawaii, every 6 miles, is it every mile you should drop 6 inches,
Okay.
and then that triples and quadruples as every mile out you go.
Okay.
Well, you could still see that barge up to 100, up to about 60 miles away, and you could see all the way to the base of that barge. Now,
So a straight laser
right,
theoretically shouldn't be able to do that
a
if you
laser
account for
or
the.
a telescope, you can see exactly. Now, the eyes, because we have curved lenses in our eyes, everything we see in the long run is going to look curved. Same thing with a camera. If you use a camera that has a curved lens, you're going to see, as you look out, a curvature Earth. But if you look through a flat lens, you'll see the horizon is straight, flat across.
That is interesting. Like I said, I'm not. I got to do more research personally on this whole thing, but I do ascribe to, and kind of one sort of happens with the other. I do
Yeah,
sort of,
it's something to kick around. You know,
I do ascribe to the Hollow Earth, but again, the Hollow Earth and the Flat Earth can kind of both be
yeah,
interconnected.
the hollow Earth and the flat Earth can definitely throw you off, but not necessarily. If you realize, if you look at the mass of the flat Earth and it having that diamond shape, and the flat Earth, the Earth being sitting on the top, and you still have a lot of room inside there where there's a lot of hollowness, where you could actually sustain life in a hollow Earth.
Well, even in pop culture, we have, well, gosh, even the cheesy, the Land of the Lost, uh, later remade into a terrible movie with Will Ferrell. But there was two series about, like, they fall into the Hollow Earth. You have X-Men with the gosh, I'm completely drawing a blank here. X-Men with the Antarctica, the Savage Land,
Right.
in Marvel Comics. Um, Even they made a terrible movie with Brendan Fraser. Oh, Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Right.
Jules Verne.
Oh, absolutely. So they're kind of throwing it out there that the Earth is hollow, and I personally believe all planets are hollow, and I think it's the safest place for any civilization to be. You're free from asteroids. You're free from weather. Um, you receive a lot less fallout from space debris, and it seems like it's the way to go to me. I mean, personally, I'd rather be in the center than be on the surface.
Well, I mean, what did humans do during the Cold War when we thought that, like, a nuke attack was imminent? We fallout shelters. Hollow Earth would just be a
Giant fallout shelter.
yeah.
Um, as far as this flat Earth theory goes, they've done a lot of studies, and a lot of it has to do with the ocean. Now, if you're coming in from Europe on a boat, from 100 miles away, you can see the entire Statue of Liberty.
Okay.
Okay, that Statue of Liberty should be pointing away from you, completely the opposite direction if the Earth was round.
Okay.
So it should be pointing, if you're heading west on the ocean towards New York, and you're coming up 100 miles from the harbor, and you start to see the Statue of Liberty, the whole thing, you should be able to see the whole thing. That Statue of Liberty should be facing west, in theory, of a curved Earth. But it's not. It's standing straight up. There's other theories too. If jet planes like F-14s and F-22s,
Raptors.
when they're flying and they hit the gas full throttle, these guys are doing 1,000 to 2,000 miles an hour. You would think that they'd have to compensate for a round Earth as they're flying. They would have to slowly dip down to keep level at one altitude, but they don't. There's absolutely no correction ever being made. Also, building surveyors that survey land with telescopes and lay out
You'll
level.
see them on the streets with the tripods, and they'll
Yeah,
be blocking
those
traffic with
guys
the
have.
cones.
There's no equation for. They don't subs. They don't. What's the word I'm looking for? They don't make up for the curvature of the Earth. Personally, I don't think there is a curvature. I mean, I mean, from everything that I've read and looked at, I think the Earth really is flat. Now, there's another thing. They tell you that Australia is southwest of South America, but when you go to book a flight from Chile to, give me a city in Australia,
Brisbane,
Brisbane or
Sydney.
Sydney. Now that's a 6,000 mile flight according to the Globe. But when you book it on an airplane, they send you 14,000 miles up from South America, lay over in either Washington or Canada, and then fly you another 6 or 8 thousand miles into Australia. And it takes damn near 24 hours to make this flight. Why would they send you the complete opposite way around the globe when you're only going 6,000 miles west of where you think you're going? It just doesn't make sense. That sounds like a lot of wasted burning fuel to send you completely around the earth to go to Australia from Chile when it's only supposed to be 6,000 miles west. So, in theory, on a flat earth map, from Chile to Australia is 14,500 miles. And nobody grasps it. You know, you try to book a flight, and they're going to tell you there's a flight available. No, they're going to tell you there's a flight, but when you try to book it for the 6,000 mile flight, it's never available. The only flight available is the 14,500 mile flight.
Interesting.
So something to kick around if anybody who's interested. I'm not saying it's real or not, but there sure is a lot of evidence pointing towards a flat Earth.
Now, when you're talking about variables, when it came to the making up for the curvature, I have heard in certain circles, typically, gosh, I forget the name of the show is, but it's like a sniper off.
Right.
I think the record holder for longest shot to hit the target was a Canadian guy, but on those kinds of shots, I heard that they actually do account for Earth curvature. Is that just a
I
lens?
think what they're accounting for is density, the bullet falling towards Earth,
Okay.
or what some might say gravity. Personally, I'm not a big believer in gravity. I think from my last show,
My buddy Rabo Flavin, which I wish he could have been here today. So he's also a big ascriber of the gravity is just density model,
right,
and it does make sense in many aspects.
right. So there you go. There's the inner Earth, flat Earth theory, and then we have what's called the Van Allen belt. Now, the Van Allen belt, boy, that's really something because
Now this is just after the moon.
the Van Allen belt is, I believe, it's after the moon. Supposedly, there's two of them. There's one before the moon, before the distance to the moon, and one at the distance of the moon. Like there's a small one and a major one, just in case, like a double barrier, like a lock gate.
Like the Titanic's hull.
Right. Like a double hole containing the Earthlings into this planet. Now here's the big kicker. You know, I'm going to talk about space for a little bit here because
We're getting some wind. Just go ahead, maybe a little bit closer.
Yeah, I want to talk about space for a little bit because a lot of people have a big misunderstanding about what space really is. Now, from all the research and stuff that I've read and listened on about space is not a vacuum. Everybody's, they teach you in school it's a minus 200 degree vacuum. Now, it might be minus 200 degrees, but it's not a vacuum. Space is a zero viscosity superfluid.
Okay.
It's basically water or antifreeze, you might say.
Back in the day, they would call it ether.
Right. I believe it's a zero viscosity superfluid that is electronically conductive, heat conductive, sound conductive, and they don't. I think that's why they have a hard time firing certain craft out there when they get out there because they don't realize.
Well, the funny thing is, one of the things that a lot of the junior astronomers want to talk about when they see it's like Star Trek or Star Wars movies or You know, even like kind of like even the last Starfighter movies like that, where you hear the laser blasts and you hear the explosions.
Right.
Like, well, in a vacuum that wouldn't exist. And like and I understand it makes for good theater
Right.
when you hear the explosions. But it'd be kind of funny if that was actually an aspect that Hollywood got right.
Yeah. So you got to understand something about how the universe works. You know, a lot of people have this big, huge misunderstanding about the real science and what space really is. You know, being that space is a zero viscosity superfluid, now you can get into the other aspects of what's really going on out there with the sun. They tell us that the sun is nuclear fusion, that the sun is millions of degrees in temperature. But yet, when you get out in space, why is it negative 200 degrees?
Okay.
Okay, why is it that when these guys are in space, they're not burning up? And I'll tell you, our solar system and our universe is electric. The sun is electric. It's a it's a cold fusion reactor. It always has been. It always will be. And each planet gets its energy from the sun through that superfluid as like a ground wire, as you might say.
Okay.
You know, or the liquid is a power supply, and the actual planet is the ground. Now, even the farthest planet, such as Pluto, still receives sunlight from the sun, even though it can't even barely see the sun that far away. Because of the liquid, the energy is able to travel through and hit the atmosphere and heat that planet. Now, our planet, when when we get our sunlight, and it's like today, it's about 95 degrees out. If we were to go into space, it's only going to be negative. It's going to be about 200 degrees negative. But because that sun is hitting our glass, our atmosphere, now they say we're under a glass dome, like a superstructured dome, and that the sun hits that dome, and it's basically like a magnifying glass, and heats the atmosphere down to the ground. The further down you go, the hotter it gets. So at the top of the atmosphere, it'd be very cold because the sun is just starting to react with
Okay.
our atmosphere. Does that make sense, Don? I mean,
Yeah, it actually does.
I
You know,
mean,
in many ways. Um, there's a whole bunch of other sci-fi stuff that comes to mind. The whole aspect of terraforming and humans going to foreign planets and like constructing different plant matter to where it creates an artificial dome. I mean, this is a big thing in Cowboy Bebop. If you've ever seen the
right.
series, um, even I think it was a major point in well Star Wars and the expanded universe, and then kind of also I think in Aliens.
Hmm. Aliens was a good version of terraforming. How they put those reactors in and
Yep.
heat water and create steam and
Yep.
vapor, and create an atmosphere. So that being said, that's kind of the rundown on what outer space is. Now, as you get into outer space, uh, well, let's talk about the moon. I don't want to miss the moon because the moon is very important to what's going on this planet. On the moon, you know, everybody says there's people on the moon, there's aliens on the moon. Yeah, there's ETs on the moon. You know, you've got the Super Federation out there on the moon. You've got the Nazis on the moon. You've got the reptilians on the moon, the Dracos, the Greys. And the moon is very similar to Antarctica on Earth. There's treaties that keep everybody separated in their own little section. Yeah, there's some conflict every now and then on the moon, but for the most part, everybody's kind of got their own little section on the moon that they collaborate with and do their own little thing and got their own
Now,
experiments
quick
going
question
on.
here: how did the Nazis get on the moon?
The Nazis got on the moon in World War II.
And
See,
are they still true Nazis?
yeah, well, see, when you look at Nazis, you got to look at NASA, and it's pretty much the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, so our military complex and our space program is basically the Nazis. Anybody who hasn't figured that out is, I mean, you got to figure it out. The Operation Paperclip, they went and took all the Nazi scientists and made rockets and got everything working that we couldn't figure out. But you got to understand, World War II wasn't about Hitler winning the war. World War II was about Hitler getting his UFOs that he was building. Because you got to realize Hitler had been building UFOs since the 30s,
No shit.
and I can tell you who's been powering his UFOs since the 30s, and that's BMW.
Oh, but very.
All Hitler's UFOs were powered by BMW fusion reactors, and BMW's played a major role in the UFO building
It's funny.
the
My
Earthlings.
grandpa refused to buy BMWs or Mitsubishis because of their roles in the World War II
Oh
conflict.
yeah, oh yeah. Well, Mitsubishi is the Japanese Zero airplane.
They're the ones that bombed Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, yeah, and very good design machines. I will tell you that. I happen to be an automotive technician, and I know that BMWs. When I work on a BMW, I feel like I'm working on a spaceship.
Wow.
And the wiring, the way the computers work, the way that all the systems are integrated into one, from uh, the stereo to the gas pedal. I mean, everything is integrated.
I had to.
They even run fiber optics on BMWs.
I had to strip out to. We're the ones the convertibles they look like sharks, Z3s.
Z3 Roadster.
I actually had to strip one out. Pretty much reverse engineer it,
Right,
and just the way the wires. I'm not big in the automotive thing,
right.
but just the way the wires.
Nothing like you've ever seen.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It looks almost like someone just stuck a hose in there and just sprayed wires where they're supposed to go.
Right, and they're all the same color.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part. Yeah, they run a reverse ground system. Everything runs off ground instead of power. So they have everything powered up, and then the computer sends all the signals to the ground, which is the complete opposite of the way American cars are made. So if you don't know what you're doing and you work on a BMW, you're gonna fry
Luckily,
some
I
shit.
was wantonly destroying it
Yeah.
for purposes of scrapping the wire.
Right.
But to actually have to work on that seems like a nightmare.
Well, it is and it isn't. It's if you understand it, you can work on it. If you know how it works, you know how to fix it. But if you don't understand how the machine works, then you can't fix it. Now, it's kind of cool because I recently just found out that BMW was producing engines for Hitler's UFOs, and I've been working on them for 20 years, and it all makes sense now because every time I've worked on one, I say to myself, it seems like the damn aliens designed this thing.
Ah,
Or something, because it's completely, the technology was so far surpassed. Like I'd be working on a 95 BMW and working on a 95 Chevrolet, and it seemed like the BMW was 30 to 50 years advanced as far as electronics and the way it operated. And it just blew me away how something just from the other side of the world that's designed over there could be so far advanced more than an automobile that's designed here in the United States.
that does make sense.
Yeah. So you got to understand. So World War II, Hitler wasn't about trying to win the war. Hitler wanted to get all his machinery, and he needed to get to Antarctica to get a base down there, and that's what he was doing with all of his U-boats. All his submarines were running from Germany to Antarctica with equipment and UFO parts to get that base up and running so they could use Antarctica as a jump point to get to the moon and to get off world and go to other places. So the Germans were far more advanced. The whole thing with the war, that was all a bunch of bullshit. In fact, to this day, they still have 95 German submarines that are unaccounted for.
Huh.
They're not at the bottom of the ocean, and they didn't get shot and blown up, and they're not parked in the harbors, and no one knows where they're at. Pretty sure they're in Antarctica under the ice sheet.
That also goes back to the whole joke with well, not joke, but the comics with the Hydra
Right.
having bases in Antarctica and stuff like that.
Right. So that's that. So that's the moon. The moon is occupied. Now you got to understand. To understand this universe and this solar system, you got to understand that there's a galactic codex, kind of like the Ten Commandments, but in a galactic sense. And it's nothing that's really written down. It's more like a common sense type thing.
It's like the Prime Directive in Star Trek.
It's like a prime directive for the universe for how life is supposed to contain itself, and not kill and slave out other planets, and not suck the resources so the planet's dead and they move on. Basically, the Galactic Codex is a way to keep everything flowing in the natural state, in a way of light and love, and to keep everybody peaceful in the higher to keep you in the higher dimensions, to get to the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th dimension. And basically, a lot of ETs aren't living that way, and they're having a lot of problems. And what's happened is Earth has become an anomaly for this galaxy. And when you talk about Earth outside of this solar system, they go, "Oh yeah, Earth. That's that big experiment place where they stuck all these different human races on, and everybody's trying to figure out how to make it work. But what's happening now is the Earth has become a central virus point where it's actually infecting the rest of the universe because of the karmic relations that are going on here. And what's happened over thousands and millions of years is ETs have come here and slaved us out and mined the planet and sucked its gold and sucked its oil out, stolen its water, polluted the planet, and it's created a trickle effect of karma throughout the entire universe. And now these beings that have, these ET races and these beings that have done this to this planet, excuse me, are finding that they can't ascend and they can't move up to the next level in life because of what they've done karmically to this planet and to this to us
Okay.
to our people. So now they're being held responsible, and now that everybody's having to work together to fix this place. So if you can relate to that, Doc, I mean that's some pretty deep stuff.
Well, I mean, somebody explained to me once the idea of karma isn't so much karma as like some mythical, like, force that rights all the wrongs and all that fun stuff. It's the probability field, which is if you're a rotten person, chances are down the line you're gonna have rotten stuff happen to you because it's just sort of like what you do.
What comes around goes around.
If you're a good person, it's going to come around more than likely. Good stuff happens to bad people, bad stuff happens to good people, yada yada yada. We get it, but like it is a great equalizer. So if there's a lot of negative energy put into like whatever the heck Earth was supposed to be, I can see how this would probably go back and bite a lot of the people peoples that did this to us, like in the collective butt.
Yeah. Well, what they're finding out is they did all these things and created this anomaly called Earth. See, Earth is an anomaly in this galaxy. You know, it's quarantined. It's a prison planet. It's not a free world. There's borders everywhere, fences everywhere. You know, and it's the moon is the same way. So our planet and our moon are the biggest anomaly in this galaxy right now, and it's infected this universe in such a way that it's even affected other nearby galaxies and other star systems because of the negative energy coming off of this planet. It's trickled through space because everything is electric and everybody's connected and everything is connected. And we don't like to believe it, but believe it or not, everybody is connected, and every planet and every solar system is connected. So if one thing is sick, the entire thing gets sick. So it's kind of like a hive mentality,
Yeah.
hive mind, if you can think of that on how our universe works. But the biggest problem is our planet in this galaxy, and it's affecting the entire universe right now.
Well, I used to grow mushrooms.
Did you?
Yeah. Um, and the funny thing is, when they're on the particular website where I learned a lot of stuff from, you've got your cylinder, your glass cylinder where you keep the spores. You inoculate the whatever. If you start seeing black or red spots on the surface, you can't just pick around it like you would like a loaf of bread. Um, that just happens to be where the infection's congealing at the moment, but everything's interconnected. So if you were to eat mushrooms that grew later from that particular spawn cake, you could die.
Oh, okay.
So you had to look for the pure white ones that didn't change colors whatsoever.
Right.
They're kind of the same thing.
Kind of like that. Um, we're all connected, and it's very important that people understand that we are connected. That this planet is a compression of the entire universe. We've got every ET race on this planet and on this moon fighting for control. Some are trying to help fix it. Some are trying to make it worse. And what's happened is it's turned into complete chaos, and you know, it's making it really hard on the disclosure effort. It's making it really hard on the event to take place. Now, let's talk about the event. A lot of people may know about the event. Some people may not. The event is when this planet finally pulls its head out of its ass and wakes up that we're not the only ones here. That we do have galactic brothers and sisters and other worlds that we could be visiting. That we're being held hostage. Our race is being held hostage on this planet by the Cabal right now, and there's people out there that are trying to free us. They're trying to free our minds. They're trying to free our souls. so that we can get off this planet, stay here, get off it, go wherever we want, go to Mars, go to the inner Earth of Venus. There's so many places that we can go that we're so unaware, and everybody outside of our planet is looking at us like, "Come on, guys, pull your head out of your ass so we can all hang out." But we're a giant anomaly. There's something way off on this planet, and it needs to be fixed. And that's where the event and full disclosure are going to take place. Now, there's been some talk. I recently found out about this other aspect of things that are going on. Apparently, there's a huge artificial intelligence virus on our planet, and it's no one knows where it originated from, but it's been around for millions of years, and it's infected everybody and every living thing on this planet to a point where any ET race that tries to come into our world and help us, they're aware that they're going to get infected by this virus. And I believe this virus is when we feel hate, anger, sadness. It's all the things that make us not happy and not happy with what we've got, make people depressed. I believe that's the virus that they're talking about. But this virus is slowly infecting other planets, other worlds, other solar systems, other galaxies. But it's been contained to our galaxy and the nearby galaxies so far. And what they're doing right now. There's an all-out war trying to contain this virus and keep it locked in this one region. And they found a way to shut the virus down. Now, this virus is transmitted from somewhere. They don't know where it's been transmitted from, but it is being transmitted from somewhere. And it's basically like a computer virus that you would have on your laptop or your home PC, but it's because our universe is electric. Everything is connected, like I was saying earlier, and this virus is used to control us, to make this planet an anomaly, and to keep people on this planet under control. Now, there's talk about stopping the virus. They have a way of blocking it out. The problem is, once they block this virus out, people that aren't ready to be woken up, they're just going to shit all over themselves, because the truth's going to come out that there's other worlds out there, that this whole time technology has been there, free energy, free food, free water, free realm throughout the entire galaxy and universe. And the people that have been lied to, they're going to be really pissed off. There's going to be a lot of pissed off people. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to slowly bring this onto humanity, and then all at once they're going to do full disclosure, and the event is going to take place. And the event is when they're going to shut off the signal that's being broadcasted, that's controlling everybody through this virus. And some pretty way out stuff. And you guys don't have to take in everything I say. You can look into this stuff for yourself. But last night I was listening to Corey Good and Cobra of the Super Federation, and these guys, it sounds like you're listening to a bunch of guys that are high on acid when they're talking about this stuff. But everything that they're saying, it makes sense to me. It makes more sense than the shit they feed us on the television set. It makes more sense than the shit they tried to teach me in school that I refused to believe ever since I was 5 years old. It's just something never seemed right. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out that we are in a prison planet. A lot of people think this is the greatest place to be, but you have no idea. We've been in prison and enslaved for so long that this has become normal for us. And it's time to break free. It's time for the event. It's time for disclosure. It's time for people to start waking up, and wake up and see what's going on around you, so we can get out of this third dimensional realm and move up to the fifth dimension and be free to move around through our intergalactic space brothers and sisters. That's pretty much what's going on lately. And right now there's a lot of people on the ground in space trying to make all this happen, but there's so much conflict in control. Who's going to control it? See, they need to stop trying to run shit. Everybody wants to run shit, and that's not the way the Galactic Codex is about. That's not the way the Galactic
Well, it's
Codex
like
works.
we've all had our friends who are like micromanagers.
Yeah.
Like they want to control every single aspect of their life, and they're sitting there screaming, telling them like, "Dad, you don't have to freaking freak out because the cafeteria served pizza instead of nachos today. I mean, it's like
Be thankful that there is peas and nachos.
exactly.
Right. Yeah, it's it's a crazy world we're living in, and my last show was about the secret space program and Solar Warden, and I'm going to touch a little bit on that before the show's over, so that I can kind of follow up on that a little bit. A lot of this secret space and Solar Warden right now is being uh, it's being induced by the blue avions. Feel free to look up blueavions.com and see what they're all about. But they're a race that is they've chosen a blue bird-like face structure. They're higher up on the dimensional realms. They're like fifth to seventh dimensional beings. And what's happened is the reason that they're taking the biggest leap on trying to straighten everything out. They're actually the Blue Avion Spear Alliance is what they're called. Because what's happened is millions of years ago, that race did something to what to our world and our race. And what's happening is now is the karma has come back on them, and they're trying to move up the ladder, up the dimensional realms, and they can't do it unless they help fix and heal what's going on this planet right now. See, right now all eyes are on Earth. And when I say all eyes are on Earth, I mean you've got beings out there in that orbit cloud just watching the shit going down over here and watching what's going on. And you got the inner Earth, Agartha it's called, the inner Earth beings. Now I believe that this year there's going to be a lot of things pop off. My last show I said by the end of this month the disclosure was going to take place, maybe the event, but it seems to be dragging on. The more I listen to what's going on with the Blue Avion Spear Being Alliance and Secret Space, and the more I listen to what's going on, they are getting closer and closer. The current cabal has been eradicated as of April, but they're as far as trickling down from the top to the normal people on Earth. There's a lot of things that have to fall into place. There's a lot of commands that need to be sent down the line, down the ladder. So you can imagine the time that it takes to go from the top to the bottom as far as making the changes on Earth that would need to be changed and warming people up to this disclosure and the event. It's going to take place overnight when it does happen, but people have to be warmed up to it, and we're almost ready. Right now we're sitting at about 60% of the population is warmed up to it. We need to get it a little bit higher. Maybe I'm thinking up to about 70-75% in order for it to soak in, and in order for it to really grasp what's going on, for people to grasp what's going on and what's going to be taking place here by the end of this year. What was that other thing we were going to talk about?
Well, we had the Schneider thing, but we already touched on it in the last episode. We had the Dark Knight.
Oh yeah, you wanted to talk about the Dark Knight satellite. I've heard a lot about that for the past 2 years. Supposedly, it's like a 15,000-year-old satellite up there that doesn't seem to have any projected course. It kind of goes where it wants to go. And if you get a craft up next to it or another satellite next to it, it just kind of moves out of its way and goes around it. It supposedly has its own defense mechanism, so if you try to land on it or shoot at it, it shoots back. No one knows who put it there. I think the Dracos put it there personally. I think they use it as a listening device, maybe. Like
are the Dracos the same as the reptilians?
Draco reptilians, yeah. I think maybe it's used as like a spy camera for someone who's watching us from really far away.
Fair enough.
There was one other thing I wanted to talk about. I wanted to touch base on as far as disclosure. I think that's about it. I mean, that's all I really got for right now.
Well, we'll definitely have another episode coming up.
I'm going to do some more research and stay on top of this because there is a lot more breaking news in the past 6 months than there has been in the last 6 years. So it's really tough because a lot of this stuff is deleted when I find it. I've had my own YouTube channel wiped out for 2 weeks at a time watching too much stuff and getting too much information that I'm not supposed to be getting. Uh, there's some new information being handed down from Solar Warden recently. It's super top secret. Corey Good's going to come out with it probably next week or so. He was talking about it last night, and he said it's super top secret. He can't really release it right now until they tell him that he can say what's going on. Until the ball's in motion, he can't really say anything. So as soon as I find out what that's all about, I'll try to fill everybody in on that and keep you posted on the Solar Warden disclosure event movement. Now, just so everybody knows, over the summer, they're having a secret space conference disclosure with. It's going to be secret space disclosure and the Super Federation. They're all meeting at Mount Shasta. So there's going to be a big rally, not a rally, but a big convention conference thing up there where all these people that are in tune are going to be there. Some guys from the 20 and back are going to be there. Corey Good's going to be there. Um, Alexandra Metters. There's going to be a few people there that are really hot on the internet right now with this disclosure movement. So if anyone wants to get up there, check out the event website or their YouTube channel, and there'll be a lot more information for you there. And like I always tell everybody at the end of these shows, don't take my word for it. Research this stuff for yourself. I mean, it takes some time. You're going to spend a few hours on the internet and YouTube looking for things and hearing different people, but their information is there. Now, don't be surprised if you see something that's really exciting and it makes a lot of sense and it seems like, wow, I just stumbled onto some top secret stuff, and then the next day the video's gone. That's because the Cabal doesn't want it there. Now, lately, a lot of this stuff has not been removed from the internet. I mean, there's stuff that's been on there that I'm surprised I haven't gotten shut down from watching, and it's still there. They haven't deleted any of my videos lately. I just have stacks of videos saved on my YouTube channel. Come to find 2 days later, they've all been deleted.
Oh, wow.
I haven't been experiencing any of that in the past 6 months, so I can feel that the Cabal has been taken down.
So something's changing.
Yeah, something's definitely changing.
Like Bob Dylan says, the times they are changing.
Times are changing. Disclosure is coming. We are getting closer to it. But the event is the main situation that you want to pay attention to. And that's it. I'm Mr. Black. Thanks for hearing me out today. I hope everybody got a little something out of that. And I'll see you guys next time.
That is a Doc Hartree signing off. I want to say thank you again to Mr. Black. Sincerely appreciate it. And wherever you are, good afternoon, good evening, good night. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to do so. Like the video, subscribe. And if you just happen to like what you listen to, just go ahead and gently finger the like button. Thank you. Signing off.